Hello everyone. So I wanted to share a couple things with you today. I saw some posts in some of the groups on social media that I'm in, and a lot of people were commenting about the difficulties that they're having right now, how they're struggling. And I know a lot of people are really struggling with various things in life, just stress and everything. And the big question was, how do I get through all of that? And how do I recognize or navigate my way through the dark night of the soul? So this may be you. If not, maybe somebody you know can benefit from what I'm going to share with you. So I've gone through the process of the dark night of the soul very many times over the years, and there's a lot that I've learned from it. And so I wanted to share some of those things with you today in hopes that they can help you or someone that you know is struggling. So first, I'm just going to kind of give you the lay of the land and the characters of like a characters in a play that you encounter when you're going through this process of the dark night of the soul. So it's all about the process of growth and transformation. This process, which has been termed the hero's journey, of which the dark night of the soul is a part, that's literally written into the DNA of life itself. As long as you're in a body, as long as you're breathing oxygen, you're going to experience multiple rounds of this cycle of transformation. And one of the parts of the cycle is the dark night of the soul. So just know that that's there. And so what has helped me and what I'm offering for you is, if you understand the cycle and the process and the stages, then you can recognize where you're at in it, and so you don't feel so crazy, and you can recognize that this will end if you know how to navigate your way through it. So I'm going to share some tips with you on how to do that. So the process, I'll just walk you through the cycle of it, and then I'll tell you a little bit about some of the characters that are in this experience so that you can recognize these people in your own life, so that you can hopefully learn from what they are doing, recognize the role that they're playing, and so how you can use that, their presence in your life, to help you through the whole cycle of transformation and the dark night of the soul, rather than arguing with those people and making things so much more harder and traumatic for you. Okay, so the cycle of the transformation is, you start with what's called the call. You have an experience. A lot of people that I've seen today, they're just getting out of a divorce or a nasty relationship or a very hard interaction with somebody, or there's a death or a loss of a job, something, or a health issue. Something in your life triggers to get your attention, and the way it does that is through pain. That's one of the reasons why we have pain, is so that we can learn by having it, so that it can jolt us out of our day-to-day routine unconsciousness, so that we can look around our life and say, wow, something's going on here. It's not right. I don't like it. I don't feel good. And so therefore something needs to change, or I need to change. So that's the first part. That's the call, getting your attention, recognizing that there's pain. And then you decide, oh, I need to go change this. I've got to do something about this. So you go out and about looking for different resources, different information, teachers, books, whatever, to find a solution. And this is a good educational learning process. And along the way, then you run into various characters, which I'll explain to you in a minute, that help you through this stage. And then you hit this point where you feel like you've done something, you've made some changes, and so you're feeling good, but you really haven't addressed the problem. And so now the unraveling begins. And this is the downward spiral into a death cycle, which ultimately lands you at the bottom, which is known as the dark night of the soul. And so how you navigate through this phase is the most critical part, because it will determine, number one, how long it takes you to get through the dark night of the soul, and how difficult you may or may not make it for yourself. So this is all about unraveling, of letting go, of looking at things that you have thought about yourself, how you've developed your identity or your ego, and recognizing that the things that you've thought, how you've lived, how you've felt, how you've interacted with people, the things that you have done prior to now are the very things that have created the situation in your life that has generated so much pain. the choices you've made to end you up into the relationship that you're in with this person that you now are divorced from, who has been abusive or mistreated you, disrespected you, whatever. Or the choices of how you've cared for your body that's created a health crisis. So it's an unraveling in the same way that every single year in the fall, plants drop their leaves, they go into hibernation, the life force of the plant goes down into the roots, and everything lies fallow for a while. It's the same thing with you. You're being pruned. The leaves are being taken off of your tree, so to speak, so that you can recognize all of the things that you literally have outgrown and that no longer serve you. And the means in which you can move through this letting go process easily and gracefully tells a lot about your ability to surrender, to go with the flow, and to trust. And this is one of the hard parts, because the things that we need to let go of are our beliefs about ourselves, the way we've felt, the way we've acted, the way we've spoken, the habitual things of how we've lived our life that create our identity or how we think we are. And those are hard to let go of. It's the ego that's being pruned back. And this is when we want to hang on for dear life and argue and say, oh, I'm the victim, why the poor me, why is this happening to me, rather than understanding the process of the pruning time, the letting go, the shedding of skin, just like snakes do. It's a necessary part of life. It's a part of the basic cycle of life. You're never going to get around it. So don't argue with it. Don't resist it. Just lean into it and learn to go with the flow. And I know that's really difficult because it's a shedding. And from having done this so many times over the years, I've learned to understand the process, and it does get easier. However, if you've not really gone through the cycle of transformation, or this is the real first thing in your life that's knocked you on your knees and pushed you into this dark night of the soul, it can be really hard because there's a lot of emotional stuff there. And I understand it. I get it. I've done it. This is why I'm making this video, to help you navigate this, to understand that you're not crazy. It's just part of the process of growth. So during this, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So you get through the dark night of the soul. You learn how to shed. You learn how to feel. You learn how to cry. Because a lot of the things that are needing to be released and expressed are your emotions. The emotions are the glue that has kept your thoughts and your actions and your behaviors and your habits all tied up together, that has produced the end result of the experience that has caused you so much pain. And the more you're able to work through your emotions and learn how to develop emotional health and intelligence, then the easier it will be to get through this part of the cycle. So gradually you come through that cycle, you start to come out the other side, and the light does begin to shine, just like spring does come after winter. It doesn't stay that way forever. You begin to feel better having shed all of this, having learned to release the emotions. You begin to find the inner truth, the inner state of balance and peace again. It's a new state of equilibrium for yourself, and it's a new identity based upon who you really are, instead of who you were taught to believe that you are. And so gradually, as you implement things, continue to learn, continue to be open to new information, to explore, to question things about yourself, then this process can move along more quickly. And then you gradually develop more strength, and then on the other side of all of this, you come to the place where you've gained wisdom and insight and tools and strength and things that you didn't have before, more resources to navigate your life with, more insight, more connected to your intuition, more skills, ability to set boundaries, more confidence. All kinds of good things come out of this if you understand the process and know how to get through the hard time. And then from there, then you go back out into your life again. from this newfound place with this new skill set, these new confidence, this new set way of looking at yourself and dealing with the world. And then you go out and experience, and then after a while, something will trigger and you'll repeat the process all over again. So that's the cycle. Now, some of the characters. So there's like the neophyte or the fool. This is the person that's just beginning the whole process, who doesn't understand what's the adventure or the journey that's in store. And so out of innocence, out of naivete, you embark on this process because you've recognized, you need to make a change and get out of the pain. However, there's a lot of learning that has not taken place. So that's one character. So recognize these characters as I'm explaining to them to see how they apply to you or the people in your life that you're in relationship with. There's another character that could be called the nurturer or the goddess. It's typically a feminine character or person in your life that encourages you, is the shoulder to cry on or lean on, or the mother, the nurturer, supporter character or role. So recognize who that is in your life and draw upon their strength, their support, without sucking them dry, without being codependent. Just recognize who that person is or people and allow them to support you and through this whole process. Then you have the villain, and this is the ex or the person that pissed you off or the person in your life that triggered you. So rather than having an argument with this person and hating on them and throwing all of your negative energy at them, recognize them for the role that they play in your life, that they are simply the villain, the activator, the trigger to set you onto this journey. And the more you're able to do that, the easier it becomes for you to move through all the emotional stuff, to come to a state of forgiveness for yourself and for them, and to really heal and let go of things. So that's just part of the landscape and the scenario. You also have another character called the trickster. And this is someone that pretends or presents themselves as one thing and gets you to like lean in and follow them and go along with what they have to offer, and then they'll turn. Or you end up realizing that what they had to share with you or show you is something else. And it's a way for you to recognize how you respond, because that tells you information about who you are. So recognize that person in your life. There's another person called, or the character like the sage or the wise person, that comes along just at the right moment. That's the teacher that drops a little nugget of information or insight that helps you take the next step, that encourages you, that gives you the information that you needed to solve and resolve something. And then you have another character that you could term as the alchemist or the magician, of being able to shift and transform all of this heavy, painful, hard stuff into something beautiful, into a lesson, into a gift. So recognize that in yourself or someone in your life who can help point you to how to see the gift in all of the pain underneath and behind the dark night of the soul. And then you have like the warrior or the strong hero, the goddess that made it through all of the challenges, that has integrated and gained all of this strength and this wisdom, and has now gone out into the world on a newfound cause or a mission or purpose to do good in the world. And so this is like the person who's come through this whole cycle of transformation, come out from the dark night of the soul, and has now have gotten things to share and help the world with. So recognize again that aspect of you or someone in your life that you can draw on as inspiration, saying this is what I can aspire to on the other side of all of this. Okay? So those are the characters. That's the landscape, the cycle of transformation, that the dark night of the soul being the bottomless pit. And there's something you may recognize or know about this cycle yourself, but it's just kind of a good to remind yourself of it, to step back and look at this so that you can recognize where you are in the cycle, not take things so personally, and hopefully get through it a little easier. Okay, now this last thing I want to share is just some tips, and just recognize that there's so much I could share on this point that it would take up far more than this video. I'm just going to give you a few pointers. I do a newsletter that has a lot more information in this, but that's just FYI for you. Okay, so tips on how to get through the dark night of the soul. Journal. Be able to take some time and journal and let just the free-flowing thought to come through you of whatever you're feeling, whatever you're experiencing for the day, whatever conversations you had. And over time, like over a period of like weeks or a couple months, look through what you have written and find the themes. That's very, very critical. Find the themes, the through line of the issues or the core beliefs, the core emotional challenges. That's the information that you get from journaling that you work with in order to recognize what the beliefs are about yourself that have, and the actions and the emotional makeup that has produced the painful, hard experience in the first place. So it's very important to spend that time introspection time, journaling, and looking for that information, looking for those through lines, those themes. The second thing, and this is one of the most critical things that will help you move through the dark night of the soul faster and more easy, is learn how to cry. Learn how to feel your feelings. Learn how to express them. Don't spiral down into apathy, depression, and stay there for weeks and months on end. That's completely aborting the whole process, and it's not allowing you to complete this cycle of growth. It's very easy, especially when you haven't gone through the cycle very many times, to fall into that rut and then play the poor me victim, I'm powerless, worthless cycle, and then you gather all your friends around to have pity parties. That's not what this is about. So check yourself. And if you are in a state of depression that has been going on for a very, very, very long time, then there's a lot of other things that you need to look at beneath that. If it's fairly a short-lived phase of feeling depressed and sad and icky, then yeah, it's the dark night of the soul area or phase. And it can last a long time. The question is, how are you navigating one day to the next, to the next, to the next? How are you looking at yourself and recognizing what you have felt and thought about yourself that has set up this experience in your life that has caused you so much pain? How are you dealing with your emotions? That's the biggest, most critical factor in all of this. Because if you don't learn how to deal with your emotions and allow them, the energy of those emotions to come up out of your body, to move through your body, to be expressed, you will sabotage the process, you'll get stuck, and you'll spiral downward into the depression, the apathy, the health problems, and everything else. And there's a lot I could say about that. So one of the biggest things that you can do with this part is to find someone to help you. Find a skilled energy healer, a practitioner, a coach, someone to help you move through that emotional energy. The emotional energy and all of the pain and the anger and the grief and the everything, that energy is the glue that has created or held together your identity, held together your beliefs, your patterns of behavior, your habits of way of how you talk to people, how you relate to people. It's all based in the glue of your emotions. And so as you release the emotions, you can recognize and see, oh, this is how I've thought about myself. This is what I've been doing. This is how I've been acting, or this behavior, this pattern of how I was taught to interact with the world that has led me to this end result of this painful experience. And without having the ability to step back and recognize that and learn from that and assess yourself, then you're not learning and growing and taking advantage of the potential of what this whole cycle of transformation is about. And so ultimately, the dark night of the soul is about learning to do the inner emotional work. Learning to see you, connect with you, face the things that you have judged, that you have rejected, and learn to love and accept them. And I know this part will piss off a lot of people and make you want to just yell and scream at me, but here's another big, huge key. If you want the dark night of your soul to go, that process or phase to go through, to go more quickly and smoothly and easily, the biggest key that I can give you is this. Own your part of what you created in your life. Take back and own your power. Don't spin out into being a helpless victim, poor me. Unless or until you are willing and able to recognize your part in what you did to create the situation that has generated pain for you, you will not be able to fully resolve it and move forward. You have to learn how to own your power by taking responsibility for yourself and for your choices and for your contributions to the relationships in your life that have created pain for you. There's no way around this. You have to learn that piece. So that's why it's so important to have someone work with you. So I'm hoping that this helped you, that gave you a little bit of insight of how to navigate through things. Journal, get help with the mental beliefs, the emotional work, and so that you can come out the other side. So share this video if you found value in it. If you know people who are struggling, there's a lot of them I know out there. So share this video, subscribe to my channel if you find value in this. If you want to reach me, again, my name is Laura Lee Humphreys. Down in the description of the video, you can find out how to reach me. You can find information about my newsletter, and let me know your thoughts. I hope this helped. Take care.